Well, we've been making a lot of progress, and today we're not doing that one. Nope. Today we're going to do, that's right, Mama Subaru. And yes, it's cold in here because I forgot to crank up the heat, which just fired up. But Mama's car is starting to get a little bit of mileage on it. For me, it's still like brand new because it's only got 90,000. But hello. With that being said, there's a 90,000 mile check for a Subaru apparently. She sent this directly offline or out of her booklet, what have you. Some of this stuff you just can't make up. This is what I want to call, do I need to take it to the dealer? And just looking at this, this is probably going to be a $300 bill. Just looking, okay? So today we're changing the oil, we're rotating the tires, and we're going to go a little bit above and beyond. And it's not really going to even take that much. So here's what they're saying. And for those of you that know, you know, dealerships are a good thing, and sometimes they're not so much a good thing. They like to charge pretty heavily, but it's under a warranty too. Gotta keep that in mind. If your car is under a warranty, take it in there, let them fool with it. If you don't have any kind of mechanical knowledge or anything, just go back to the body video or something else that I've done. If your car's, you know, out of warranty, then don't worry about it. Save yourself some bucks, you know what I'm saying? So here's the list, downloaded exactly. Check installation of the driver's floor mat. Yep, that's step one. Done it, it's still there. It's because they have them little locking tabs and all this. They don't want it getting stuck up underneath. But that's actually a check that they're going to charge you for. Rotate tires. Well, we're going to go front to back or back to front, however you want to do it. It's the same thing but different. Check and then inspect the HV battery cooling intake filter. I don't know what that means. The only thing I can think that means is your actual vent on your battery. Or maybe if you have one of these batteries, notice how this one's non-factory. See how it says that name that, you know, some people like, some people hate. But this right here, you can fill that with distilled water, because that's what everybody does, and check your water levels on there. It should be enough to cover the plates. The plates are what's inside of that. We're going to check that. You can fill it with bottled water. I always do. Doesn't make a difference. I don't know. I really don't know. They always say distilled water. If you got distilled water, use it. If you got drink water, it's up to your discretion. Like I say, everything's up for interpretation. Inspect steering gear. Now, steering gear, I'm guessing they're calling the knuckle. Wonder if I can get a flashlight. The good thing is I put all these hooks and all this stuff up. Yep, that's not the one. Put all these hooks to be more organized, and half the time stuff don't go back on. So that's all a part of a master plan that I've not told myself yet. See, it's over here. The hook for it is over there. So that's good, because the steering gear, I don't know if there's an actual gear in it, but there's a knuckle right here. So it looks like it's gooder. There's actually a bushing. Golly, this is a nightmare. Okay, so hopefully, there we go. Right about, can you see it? Yep, that's a steering knuckle, and right below it is a steering damper. Below it, that goes into the steering column, is your steering gear. fish this back out of here. So that was easy to find. The steering damper, check it, make sure that thing hasn't, you know, disintegrated. The steering knuckle looks good. The steering gear is in the power steering, or the rack of pinion, so I guess just rock the steering wheel back and forth and see if it's any good. Inspect radiator, condenser, and or intercooler. Intercooler is the basically the radiator for your turbo system if you have a turbo. This is a 2.0 Boxster style. It does not have a turbo. It is what they call naturally aspirated. If you don't know if you have a turbo or not, does it get up and go? You know, like, hear that little whistle? And it will probably say 2.0T or intercooled or something on your rear bumper. But anyway, the radiator is like 50 cents worth of material right here. And really what you want to do, you want to make sure your hoses haven't lost their clampiness. Because a lot of times what happens is these hoses will start cracking, and they'll actually perform a little leak whenever they start drying. Especially in your warmer climates like Florida, that way far left state that I don't even want to mention anymore. Places like Arizona, Nevada, you know, those kind of environments, you're gonna have to watch your rubber hoses a lot more. Now, I don't know if it mentions, okay, I don't want to skip ahead, but check, make sure you don't have any leaks, seeps, any of that stuff, okay? And you can tell if it's leaking by keeping an eye on your coolant. This thing should have a full and low level. The good thing is, I think I can balance that there, but it has a full and low level. We're looking down in there. It's got good coolant, and it's in between full and low, so that's medium. That's probably where they put it, honestly, from the factory. So maybe they put it on full. I'm not sure. I didn't really look. Inspect wiper blades. Now, oh, I'm forgetting one. I'm sorry. It says inspect engine coolant. Now, here's the funny thing. This coolant anymore, it might be good for 100,000. I'm really not sure. I know the replacement stuff, some of it says, like, this is not it, but it says 5 years up to 150,000. I would almost think that this stuff is good for 100,000. There's actually a charge that happens in cars' coolant systems. This is what erodes and eat up plastic, aluminum, so on and so forth. And it happens a lot with cast iron blocks and aluminum heads, because believe it or not, it does this friction type thing where the heads cool quicker than the block itself. Over time, it produces a charge. That's what eats up stuff. Have you ever replaced an old water housing unit, like on these cars? They're terrible for it because nobody changes antifreeze. Unless your water pump goes out or your radiator, you're not really changing it. Facts are facts. So you can put one test lead in there, and I think you ground it. And I think anything over, is it, you have to put it on a small scale. Sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you put it on a small scale, and if it's above 0.05 or something, it's time to change it. Somebody can check that and let me know. It's been a long time since I've done it because, yeah, I'm a slacker too. What can I say? But that's one thing you should check coolant for, especially if you got aluminum heads and a cast iron block, or just check it anyway. It's not going to hurt, and it's going to save the life of your internals and your water pump and all that kind of stuff. It says inspect wiper blades. This is the thing they're going to charge you for, guys and gals and all that. So if you got these things and they're splitting apart, by all means replace them. If they got cracks in them, Mama's looks like hers are pretty good. If you want to do a cheater test, then all you have to do is hit your water squirter thingy and see if it leaves streaks. If it leaves streaks, replace them. I would say they're cheap, but they're not cheap anymore. Nothing's cheap. Just, it happens. Okay, now, inspect and adjust all fluid levels. Well, that pretty much comes with maintenance or something, don't it? Shoot, on my cars, that's a daily thing, I think. Like, I better make sure that evil where'd my oil go gremlin don't like come in the middle of the night and drain all my stuff. But I mean, when they're talking about that, I will tell you this: do not add brake fluid unless you have a leak. Why? Because this fluid right here, this whole system is meant to work with it filled at this level. If that thing is low, you know what that means? That means your pistons in your brakes are coming out more. That means your pads are wearing, your brake pads. You don't need that fluid, because if you do, whenever you go to squeeze back the piston, you're gonna have fluid come up out of that cap. You just wasted fluid. You don't need to add that. No, that's a bad no-no. For this particular car, I'm not even sure where the dipstick for the transmission is, or if it even has one. So, yeah. There's an oil dipstick, and you know, there's a light that I keep flopping around. But you'll have to read on your cars that do have dipsticks. It'll probably say check in park at idle when the transmission's warm. So whenever the engine is up to operating temperature, check it while it's in park. It might say neutral. I've seen that before. I don't remember seeing any that says in gear. Dodge, you've probably done that for some reason or another. But it happens. You might need two people. But make sure you're not in the middle of an oil change and you forgot to add oil. That could be expensive, do it yourself kind of thing. Let's see, what else? Okay. Inspect ball joints and dust covers. Here's a real quick and easy one for you guys and gals. So, we're going to raise up the car. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. One, you could have already had the car raised, which you meant to, but you kind of, you know, your ADD kicked in full steam. I'm going to show you how to check the front suspension as well. Because most of these cars anymore, you've got tie rod ends. That's it. Lower ball joints. Yeah, because you have a strut. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Strut, tie rod end, ball joint, ball joint. So what you do, get it up like this. If you want to check your suspension, side to side movement. Also, ball joint. One hand on the bottom, the other on top, wiggle back and forth. Guys and gals, if you have movement, like more than, what is it, a quarter inch, something like that, your tire is going to give a little. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, excuse me, your tie rod end is on the end of your suspension. End of your suspension. So I'm gonna get down here in the dirty, show you. It should be back here, I think. Somewhere. Where in tarnation are you? Let me blind myself down here. Okay. So right here You can't see. Daggone it. Here we go. Way more gooder. Wait. This right here, this is your lower control arm. Attached to it, down here is your bottom ball joint. You just check that with the movement from the top and the bottom whenever you wiggled your tire, right? Now your tie rod end should be, okay, this one's up front. Of course it is. See this critter right here? It attaches to what's called your steering knuckle. You can grab it and try to pull it up and down. No movement, she passes. That's how hard it is to check the front suspension. Now, if you get a movement by doing this back and forth, that's good, then that ain't good. That means you got an inner tie rod end that's bad. And then that's in the rack and pinion most of the time. Some of them, the old GMs used to have a rubber bushing, maybe some of the Chryslers as well, and it was back on the firewall. Depending on where your rack and pinion is, it could be not so bad, or it could be a real dirty mother. That requires an alignment, just so you guys know. Unless you're really good at measuring and all that, making sure it's back where it needs to be. To the next movement here. Says, inspect brake lines and hoses. Fair enough. So, let me pop this wheel off real quick. Give me just a second. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. I'm slacking, sorry. But I want to show you guys just a little more in depth on what this little thing goes. Like you say, this is for mommy, so gotta take care of her. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna zip that wheel off and the rear one, same timesies, and then we'll come back and I'll show you more inspection stuff, okay? Just give me 1 second. All right, so we got the wheel off. Now, when they say check lines and hoses, oh, you dirty rat. If you got a Harbinese Freight light, that's what it does right before it goes dead. See, these rubber hoses, that's your hose. The metal line is what they're talking about. Check your lines and hoses. Now, if you have a leak, fix it. Brakes are not the one thing you want to keep adding fluid to, because believe it or not, you kind of need them. I know all they do is hold you back. Just saying. Let them hold you back. Where to put my charger? There you are. He stayed in the same spot. Okay. Hopefully this one's charged. See, I like these things. They got that little light there on them. I tell you if they're good or not. But it tells you also to check your, if it says check, sometimes they try to fool you up, sound more harder than what it is. They'll say check your pressure plates. I don't even know what that is. It's your rotors, okay? So I don't care who you are, you cannot look at this and tell me that this is flat. You can't. You can't tell me if it's out of round by looking at it. There's no possible way. Somewhere out there, somebody's watching this saying, I've taken them out of the box and they've been warped. You're absolutely right. So have I. So, be careful who you buy from. Here's the tie rod end to better explain what I was talking about. These, right here, are your stabilizer links. If those things are starting to go out, you'll probably hear a popping, cracking. If they broke, you'll notice your steering, she ain't as good as she used to be. It's kind of a little bit dancy, a little, you know, not so gooder. But this is what they call your pressure plate, your rotor, what have you. Now, do yourself a favor when you're checking your brakes. Check both sides of the pad. Because you could have a slide sticking. If you're just checking this outside pad saying, no, it's good. Maybe it's not good. Maybe this slide is stuck and the only pin that's moving is a back pin, not the front, or what have you. I had it happen on the Honda Odyssey race van well early, like 2 years ago in this show. I checked them. I did what I just told you not to do. I checked, the outside pad was great. Inside pad was gone. So of course, whenever I'm on my way to the lake for the weekend at the wife's dad's house, get this funny, I started turning rotors. Yep. Started turning rotors on the way there. Ah, dang it. But it was a rear one, thank God. So that's 30% of braking on most cars, FYI. So check both sides. Get down in the business. Like looky here. There's little inspection holes, vent holes, whatever you want to call them. And if you can't see it that way, bend around and look that way. Because I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Since your rear only does 30% of stopping generally, I'm going to say they might be more likely, because they stay stationary through most applications, or they wear so little. You understand what I'm saying? Like they wear, you'll probably wear out 2 sets of front pads, maybe 3 to 1 set of rear, depending on how you drive, if you're doing city driving, country driving, what have you. So this car is actually blessed with upper ball joints. That might just be a kingpin. Anyway, back here. So what I'm gonna have to do is put the, you can also pull up and down on it. If you got movement there, oh, and yep, right there. And they have the funniest looking suspension. Look at this. We just look at it. We got control arm bushings there, there, down here, down there. For real? You guys couldn't just not do that? But I will say this, the car rides smooth. It really does. But anyway, if you have gouges in this and your brake pads are good, that's kind of your call. You're going to have to buy pads and rotors. If you go to replace just the rotor itself, because those pads are worn to the ridges of the other. If you want to do it right, that's what you're going to have to do. This car also has a sway bar. See how that goes like that, real funky? I'm sure that does a lot. That's for anti-body roll movement in the rear, you know, so you don't get this so much. Let's see. But again, inspect both. There's a little, you probably can't see because my camera's the GoPro 8 and it's like the 3rd one gone now or something. Like it's 3 cameras ago. Maybe 4 by the time I'm making this. Heck, I don't know. But anyway, like I said, you can't tell by just looking. There's no way. If it has a ridge at the top or a ridge here, all that means is that's where the brake pad is hitting. It doesn't necessarily mean it needs replaced. It may, I don't know. If you're getting a shimmy in your steering wheel or in the brake pedal itself, you're going to need some rotors. And if it don't stop it in the front, whenever you replace the front pads and rotors, guess what? You get to do it again in the rear. Now, this here is your rear pad, or rear brake hose. Right there's your rear line. Now, it said inspect all lines, right? Fuel line, brake lines, all of those run together underneath the car. If it says inspect them, go ahead and take a look at them. there's a almost 100% probability that they're fine if the car is newer-ish and don't have 843,000 miles. If you live in the Rust Belt, yeah, you might want to really look at them. I live in Southern Ohio. It's not super bad like Michigan. Those cars, I feel bad just like knowing that there's cars running on that road, because they are eaten up to death. It's crazy. So those the brake pads, the rotors, tire rotation. What else do we have here? We have okay, inspect the boots of your drive shaft. What they're talking about, since this car has a drive shaft and axles, you're going to want to check the rubber boots. Now, these are real easy to tell if they're busted or not, because you will see grease slung somewhere. Now, since it's an all-wheel drive, it also has a drive shaft, which is right there. Can you guys see it maybe, hopefully? Let me get better underneath here. See that right there? And what you're going to do is grab a hold of that and see if you got any movement in that universal joint. There, and it goes to the front. While you're under there, oh, they got a plastic cover covering all the lines up. So that's a good and horrible thing all at once. Ew. You asked me why it's horrible. I heard you. Well, because if salt and stuff did get underneath that cover, guess where it's laying? Right there on your lines, which is just awesome. You know, it helps a protected line be not so protected. That's the truth. And I'm gonna tell you, what else do we have? So that there, most of your lines most of your cars don't have those covers. I will say that. What else do we have? Check your front and rear axles if you have them. If you don't have rear axles, just check your front, obviously. Check your exhaust and where it mounts. I haven't really seen too many bad mounts, except for like whenever a exhaust shop welds a bolt to a frame and says that's a hanger. No, it ain't. Yep, exhaust has got to give a little. Inspect your cabin air filter. I'm gonna take a total guess that it's like, nope, don't know. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea where this sucker's at. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I have never checked one on my own car. Nope, never have. It is what it is. So you're gonna have to Google it. It might be somewhere around this air dam where it takes air into the car. It could be in the door jamb. I'm gonna be totally honest, I don't know, but you're gonna have to check it. I'm gonna have to Google it and then check it. So that's really something. So that's a new one on me. Visually inspect the brake linings, drums, etc. And that is a wrap on this 90,000 mile check. But if you ask me, there should be a few more. There should be a visual inspection at least on this belt. Okay. Time, heat, and age is what gets to these belts. You know, not necessarily the mileage. I don't think a whole lot, but whenever they set or whenever they're excessively old or around heat, they dry out real bad. And yeah, so me personally, I always check the belt just to make sure there's no cracks in it, because that's one easily piece of preventable maintenance that you can do. You can look at this thing if you see cracks in the grooves in the outside, something that looks like it could leave you stranded, I would probably, no, I would replace it. Because that drive belt, you know, she's this one's good, but that's something to look for. Now I grabbed this tool up at the Harbin East Freight, and this is for checking batteries, okay? Real simply, I caught it on sale last week for like 13 bucks with some sort of outrageous discount, like 30% off or something. So watch out for those discounts, man. This here is a load tester, and what you're doing, you're checking to see, one, how good the battery is. It's got a little load switch down here, which you can hit, and she passes. As long as she stays in that green area, you're good. If it goes to weak, might want to consider changing her out, because that's not good. Or don't do it, don't do it. So just saying, that's going to be one piece of tool, one tool that I'm going to use on all of my vehicles, testing to see, hey, do we need a battery yet? Because there's nothing like, in the heart of winter time, going up, just a flashlight. Yep, it's good. I seen it. So check that. Another thing to check, guys, why not just check your lights? Your headlights, turn signals, brake lights, all that jazz. That costs you like next to nothing, and it's preventative maintenance. It saves you from getting pulled over indefinitely. If you got working lights, they're probably not going to mess with you. Just saying. That's pretty much a fact. But check your lights. Turn your key on, engine off, work the switch, check your turn signals, have somebody help you if you got a friend. I don't, so that's awesome. Not that I'm upset about it or anything. I mean, I've got my biggest fan. Just saying. That's something to check. Other than that, they kind of cover it pretty well. The spark plugs, I'm going to say at 100,000, switch them. Switch them if you can. If not, have them switched at a trusty garage that you absolutely know will do the work. Now, the reason for doing this video, honestly, is to get some of the work back to the smaller shops, your more honest shops. There's a lot of little shops that are great shops, independent shops that appreciate their customers. I'm going to tell you guys a couple little stories, but before I do, jack stands, guys. Here's a story that I've never told. You're the first ones. So the truth is, the jack stand story is 100% true. I was working on a car whenever I was a kid. Of course, I knew them more than my dad. I was putting headers on a car. Yep, been a redneck my whole life. And raised the car up, I'm under it, and I was having a hard time getting the driver's side header on. So I raised it up. I thought I could get it from the top. I couldn't. Get underneath the car. The old man's pulling a Chevelle engine out from a tree limb, Ken. Yep, remember, huh? I helped him on that one too, I'm just saying. So, you know, this is before we had a garage, before he had his garage. And he says, hey, put a jack stand underneath that. I said, that's all right, I got it. It's okay, Dad. He goes, I said, put a mother fletching jack stand under it, or get your fat arse out from under it. I was offendified. No, that's before you could be offended. I ain't kidding you. So I said, fine. Walked over, got a jack stand that was on the porch, slid it under, and not 2 seconds from getting back underneath that car, it fell on the jack stand. The scissor jack, yeah, I know somebody just said, yeah, I know that's right. The scissor jack that I was using stripped, and it landed on that jack stand. If I wouldn't have done that, not so sure I'd be doing just help me videos, you know what I mean? And telling all these really great stories that hopefully save somebody's life eventually. But I wanted to do this video. I know that's slightly off the subject, but for real, guys, safety, it's a real thing. It's not just cool to say. But I want to put money back in the good shops, the moms and pops, the independent, because there's a lot of shops owned by franchise that's not really that great. I am not going to mention any names. You do you, I'm going to do me. I don't work on anybody else's cars. This is all mine. All these lovely vehicles that I pull in here, and this is Mama's car. I don't work on other people's stuff. This is not advertisement for me at all. I'm talking about the little guy that's trying to make ends meet, doing stuff on the side. Find you an honest guy, because if you don't, you're going to end up paying 40 bucks for a tire rotation and spring air in your tires. Yep, that really happened up in Columbus. I'm working on a car, and the lady says, hey, can I get you guys to put spring air in my tires? It was springtime. I chuckled because I thought she was joking. I said, yeah, we'll get right on that. And she said, no, I'm serious. I'm still running winter air. Or fall air or something. I said, wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me here? She said, well, I went to XYZ garage and they put fall air in my tires and they rotated my tires, but I haven't done it since then. I know it's bad. I should have already changed it, but I didn't. Can you imagine the look on my face trying to tell this lady she just got gypped because that tire rotation and oil change, or tire rotation, just the tire rotation and spring air putting in her tires cost her 40 bucks. Now this is over 20 years ago. Yeah, should not have cost anywhere near that. So don't get gypped. Run spring air year round, it's fine. That's what I'm getting at. Don't air them up until spring. It's bouncier. But anyway, guys, I hope this helps you guys. Do you need a dealer? Do you not need a dealer? That's up to you. If your car's under warranty, take it to a dealer, is what I'm going to say. Or at least get the paperwork backing what you had done at a reputable shop, okay? If you got something that's got 90,000 miles on it, God knows, who knows, pretty much with all my stuff. So, and you got to save some money because you like cars and you don't have, you know, money falling out of your rear end. I'd say do it yourself. Look and see what it entails. Look and see where a cabin air filter is, because I have no idea. Nope, never did that. But anyway, hopefully this helps you guys. And this is a little bit of changing gears. I know it is, but hopefully it's a good changing gears for you guys. It's a good one for me to get a break from, even though I'll be working on that thing as soon as this video is over and I get done with this. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. Sorry there's a lot of yapping in this. I think it's important though. If you guys got any tips, add them down there. I appreciate it. Add your funny stories. Let me see what somebody's told you guys pulling in the shop. Like the spring air, all right? I would love to hear it. Anyway, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you next time here on Right Turn Garage TV.